The Defence Secretary Ben Wallace there speaking, saying that he has agreed with allies that more lethal aid will be sent to Ukraine, the type of weaponry being sent to Ukraine, really trying to keep up with changing Russian tactics. On that note, let's bring in the Prime Minister of Slovenia, who joins us now, Janeza Janše. Prime Minister, thank you so much for joining us here this afternoon on Sky News.
Yes, good afternoon.
And we've just been hearing from the UK Defence Minister there, Ben Wallace, saying that Western allies are sending more military assistance to Ukraine to basically keep up with changing Russian tactics. What more information can you give us on that? What's Slovenia doing right now?
Well, Slovenia is helping Ukraine as much as possible, but we are of different size and of different possibilities. So I'm very glad when I heard your Defense Secretary that UK is sending more defensive weapons to Ukraine, because this is what they need, and stronger they are, the shorter the war. So we have to help them with the humanitarian aid, with the financial aid, with the plans for the reconstruction. But currently, we are speaking about people dying there, about massive suffering in Mariupol and other cities which are under the Russian attacks. And every day really counts in lives. So whatever we can give them to defend themselves is saving the lives. And this is what we have to be aware.
Yeah, more military assistance being sent by Western allies. The UK has also announced today more sanctions. 14 individuals and organisations targeted. Germany are actually calling for more, saying, you know, this may not be the end of it. We need more sanctions. Do you think this is the most effective tool at the moment in tackling Russia?
Yes, it is something we have to do. So we have to do everything to make Ukraine stronger and Russia weaker. This is very clear. And with the sanctions, we are not only sending messages, we are also, making Russian war machine more weak, because they actually, I think that there is one thing which we are not, where the West is, a lack of knowledge or deeper insight, that Russian war machine depends heavily from the spare parts produced on the West. And I think that next package of sanctions is targeting precisely this point, which is of crucial importance. If we are not, if some Western companies are closing the luxury shops in Moscow, this will affect the public opinion in Russia on middle and long term, but this will not stop the war. But for very sophisticated military equipment, where you need thousands of spare parts, even if one important part is missing and it is produced in, I don't know, General Dynamics, Siemens, Intel, and it is not delivered to them, this is really hurting the Russian war machine. Of course, they have huge stocks of Soviet-era style hardware, and they are using it. But this is not today something with which you can win a modern war. So more modern equipment is sending to Ukraine, the shorter the war.
Yeah, sanctions aimed at weakening, isolating and cutting off Russia in so many different aspects. Part of that, of course, being their ability to wage war on the ground. But Russia has retaliated today. We did expect this from President Putin with regard to gas. He's now saying from tomorrow, countries will have to pay in rubles if they want to receive Russian gas. The German finance minister has called it political blackmail. There's some speculation that some countries may be cut off from tomorrow. What's your reaction to that, and how will Slovenia be affected?
Well, we are partially dependent on the Russian gas, but not as much as some other countries. So this threat is asymmetric. But I don't think that Mr. Putin is aware what he's doing, what he's really doing. Because if he is choosing this path, this is the river of no return. And I don't know how he thinks that Russian economy can function, because Russian economy depends not only heavily, it depends more than 50% on energetics, and it's not possible to find another countries to sell them natural gas, for instance, because the pipelines are going to Europe.
Will you pay Russia in rubles for gas supplies?
No, I think that nobody is paying Russia in rubles. I said this 10 days ago when this was first mentioned. And now we heard also the ministers of G7. I think that French and German minister also said today that this is against the contracts. And frankly speaking, Europe and all other countries which are importing the Russian gas are doing everything in their power to find another sources. So I don't think that Kremlin is really aware of what's going on. So, and if the money which is coming in hundreds of millions for this Russian energetics to Kremlin and to the budget of the Russian Federation is stopped, then it's a big question. What will Russian economy looks like during next years? Even this aggression on Ukraine hurts a lot. So I think that after 5 years, when we will see back, when we look back and see what really happened, looking from the economic point of view, the biggest victim of this Putin's adventure will be Russian nation.
Can I just ask for your reaction on comments that were made today by the head of the UK spy agency, GCHQ, and also the head of the British Armed Forces? They've been talking about Vladimir Putin. The head of the British Armed Forces says that he's made catastrophic misjudgments. He feels that he's already lost the war in Ukraine. The GCHQ chief called the invasion incompetent and said the campaign is in chaos. What's your assessment?
It's pretty similar, because 2 weeks ago, when with our Polish and Czech friends when we visited Kyiv and spoke with the government and the President Zelensky, they told us exactly the same, that when they fight the Russian military units, it's huge difference if they fight the Russian conscripts. They are not motivated. They try to surrender. This is why we are debating on the European level to offer the asylum for all those Russian soldiers who want to surrender and to go to EU member countries. They also told us that, of course, when there are attacks from the distance using heavy hardware, heavy guns, of course, all soldiers obey. But when they are sent for the infantry fighting in the cities, they are not very keen to do it, because this is the mortal danger. And only real units who are fighting in the cities in close contact combats are Chechen mercenaries, some parts of the Wagner group, and some special units of the Russian army. A regular army is not really fighting. The description of this army is pretty much as we heard before from your experts. And if I can add, we know how such armies function, because 30 years ago Slovenia was invaded by similar Yugoslav communist army. These are the types of armies where only sergeants really know how the real atmosphere in the units are. All non-conscript officers and all other high-ranking officers, they're making the picture much finer. And I can imagine that when General Staff reported to Mr. Putin about the military units preparing for the invasion of Ukraine, everything was excellent, everything was polished, as it is when they are looking at such units doing the military exercising. So I think this assessment was accurate, and this is the biggest trouble now. And but sadly, the Russian leadership is now using the advantage they have with controlling the sky above Ukraine, and with the large stock of old-fashioned hardware, and they are just destroying the city. They are Groznifying the Mariupol and other cities. Of course, with this, they are losing hearts and minds also on the eastern part of Ukraine. I think they are losing hearts and minds also in Belarus, because they are afraid of them now. They are not considering them a friendly country anymore. And this was historical mistake of Kremlin, of Putin. And of course, he was misled. But still, we should not forget that he still has significant support in the Russian population, which is more or less isolated from the real picture, what's really going on in Ukraine. I think we have neglected the real situation in Russian society during last decade. We are not aware that after the fall of the Berlin Wall, after the collapse of Soviet Union, there was not decommunization process completed there. It was just a weak start. And now we feel the consequences. The situation was not fixed after the fall of the Berlin Wall in this part of Europe. And sooner or later, we will have to do it.
Prime Minister, I just want to come back to something you said in your answer there about Russia attacking Ukraine from the skies and really pummeling those cities from the skies. And President Zelensky was speaking to Western parliaments earlier today. He's been going to parliaments in Western allies and appealing to them directly for this no-fly zone. The Secretary General of NATO today reiterated the fact that NATO aren't going to enforce a no-fly zone. He said that to do that would be dangerous. If we rewind 36, 37 days ago when Russian troops were amassing on the border, was it then that NATO should have imposed a no-fly zone? Was that the time to do it? Would it have been effective then?
Actually, this was my proposal and of course of some others. And frankly speaking, we had been just repeating what Ukrainian friends were saying at that time. Because, the sky above Ukraine is the matter of Ukrainians. Ukraine is a sovereign country. It's not on Russia to decide who can come to Ukraine, who can fly in the skies of Ukraine, and who not. But of course, now the situation is different. If this help came before the aggression, then the ball would be on the field, on the part of the field of Mr. Putin. I don't think he would risk it. But of course, we are now speaking about the situation, which is part of the past. We cannot change it. Now, I think that this would be a risk if NATO is directly involved in the conflict with hardware and with the troops. I think that this is not necessary. This is not what Ukrainians are currently asking. They are asking for the modern equipment, missiles, not only for low sky, but also for the middle and high sky, for them to be able to defend themselves. And this is the debate going on, and this is the issue where we are very slow with the response, and the results are paid in blood.
Yeah. Prime Minister,
unfortunately.
Prime Minister Janeza Janše of Slovenia. Really good to talk to you here on Sky News this afternoon. Thank you so much for your time.